guys, it is Friday, November 25th, 2022, and I'm back for Free App Fridays. Every Monday and Friday, I bring you guys free music production applications to help you with your musical adventures and endeavors. All right, guys, so we are wrapping up the month of November 2022 being themed with free filters and free EQs. So we have one more live stream to go for this month, and I got a bunch of them for you guys today. All right, so let's jump right into it. The free apps for this Friday, November 25th, 2022 is as follows. So first up, we have here some filters. So first up, we have Filter Jam. So with Filter Jam, this one is very interesting because it does up to 4 bands. It's filtering 4 bands and then feeding them back into each other. So it's doing kind of a ring modulation type processing with the filters. So it has filters feeding into filters, and it's doing like a ring modulation that's gonna create some more sounds and audio artifacts that they're trying to use in a musical way. So it can be harsh, it can be mild, but it's gonna add more texture, layer, and just vibe and character to your sound. There is a randomized button for the presets. There's presets there, and it has a mix knob and gain to kind of control the levels, because you must imagine some of this stuff is going to get loud once you start dealing with ring modulation with 4 different frequencies modulating each other. Frequency bands, I should say, modulating each other. So this is it's a very interesting one. I've used it before. Very interesting. So check that one out. Next up, we have Flux Mini 2. So Flux Mini is more of a it's more of an animated filter. So the filter is going to follow the curve. You can draw in your own curves. Of course, there are presets, and this is rhythm based, so everything is going to end up being very rhythmic. Once you draw in your curves, you can set your time signature and your speed, overall speed. Is it going every 1 bar, every 4 bars, every 2 bars, stuff like that. And you add some more rhythm and possibly texture to your sound. So you could use it to also control dynamics, because it's pretty much a dynamic curve if you just keep it in its simplest form. So that's Flux Mini. Next up, we have HY Filter 4. This one is another modulation rhythmic based one. So it has modulation, has rhythm to it. You can set up multiple LFOs, set the LFO speed, and then you can connect just about any control in here to the modulator based on sine wave, saw wave, square wave, things like that, and get movement on these different filters. And of course, you set your filter, frequency range, set the Q, resonance, all that good stuff, and then get it moving. So this one's very interesting, very creative for sound design, for mangling your sound and just adding more interest to it. Next up, we have just a filter, and like what it says, it's just a filter. So it's pretty straightforward. Cutoff frequency, bandwidth, and a gain knob to control your gain output. So if you're looking for a very straightforward filter, this is one that gives you that without some kind of graphical representation. Next up, we have Obvious Filter. Obvious Filter is another one that I love to use for creativity. It adds a lot of texture and a lot of interest to your sound. It's going to take your sound to a whole nother level. There's a lot going on here. There's a section that you can open up and really play with the filter and the LFO and all that other stuff. It's very complicated. Really nice graphical user interface. It's a very advanced filter, so definitely check that one out. Check out a video about it to kind of understand how it works and what it does, because there's a lot of hidden screens and hidden options very well thought out, fully featured filter effect. Next up we have Mad Filter. Mad Filter is more of a straightforward basic filter. This one adds some overdrive and distortion to it, but it's pretty much set your frequency, you have your type, bandpass, high pass, and then you have your resonance, which is gonna adjust the Q, the peak of it, and you can add some overdrive or distortion to your filter. So it's pretty straightforward there. Next up we have Tau Filter 2. With Tau Filter 2, this is one of those animated, automated, modulated filters. So it's gonna give you some time-based effects, some rhythmic time-based effects with the filter, and then add more movement to your sound. So now we jump into the EQs. These are some graphic style EQ, graphical EQs, that emulation of a graphical EQ. So we have EQ 560, which is emulating a very specific EQ. I think this is an API that it's emulating. Next up we have 7Q. This one is a 10-band EQ. 7Q is a 7-band graphical EQ with all the usual suspects, low pass, high pass, and then you have your bands here. Next up we have Overtone GEQ from Voxengo. This one has 7 bands per side as far as the stereo field. So it is a stereo EQ. And for the left and the right, you have 7 bands independently, and independent output controls for each side, left or right. It can also do mid or side. So if you're doing mid side, then you'll have the mid on this side and the sides on this side, and then you can EQ those separately and set the output separately. So you can really affect the stereo field of this one because you have balance over the levels of the stereo, whether it be left or right or mid or side EQ modes. So this one is pretty detailed and very advanced, so check that one out. Next up from Voxengo, we also have the Marvel GEQ. This one has 16 bands, and that's the difference. It doesn't separate stereo, mid or side. Even though it can do mid or side, everything you're doing is going to affect the overall mid and side at the same time, whereas this one kind of separates it. So you can affect that one left, right separately. This one is just whatever you're dialing in is going to affect the whole stereo field, whether you're in stereo left, right mode or stereo mid, side mode. But they give you 16 bands, 16 fixed bands. So definitely check that one out if you're looking for one of those detailed graphic EQs. So here's another graphic EQ. This one has 10 bands. And these 2 bands, they have the bell button, phase button. There is some drive, a little bit of drive distortion to this one that you can add. And you have your trim volume there to kind of gain stage volume match at the end. Now here we have some tilt EQs. So first we have S Tilt from TB Pro Audio. So with tilt EQs, what's happening is if you're boosting on the high end, it's automatically cutting on the low end gently, evenly, and if you're boosting on the low end, it's gently cutting on the high end. So they're working in that symbiotic way where you're boosting on one side and cutting on the other side simultaneously. Most of these EQs might have where you can set a midpoint, some of them won't, but that's pretty much how they work. And here's another one, low cut, high cut, tilt. So you can set your low cut frequency area, high cut frequency range, and then this is your tilt. Here's another tilt EQ called Tilt EQ. Here's Tilta from Analog Obsession. Same concept, it's a tilt EQ. Now moving right along, we have some EQs that are emulating the Pultec EQ, very famous EQ that's focused on giving you that smile EQ. And one of the things about the Pultec is on the low end you can boost and cut at the same time, and some of these have that feature also on the high end. This one doesn't. This just has a high shelf that you can boost or cut, But on the low end, you can boost and cut at the same time. Just shells. And then there's a mid-range here that you can add some gain there. So some of them will have mid-range, some won't. So this one is another Pultec style EQ from Viator DSP. Here's another one, very basic. Just gonna give you that smile range where you can boost the high, boost the low end, or cut and do a frown curve. Here's another one, PTQ from a different developer, Samsara Cycle Audio. And we have Rare from Analog Obsession. Once again, another Pultec style emulation EQ. Last but not least, we have Warmy EP1A. I think this is version 2. And once again, it's a Pultec style EQ. So that's it for today. With that, these are the free plugins that released this week that are notable for this week. So we have this drum machine here, the DR84. I'm not going to spend much time on these. This is an AA sample player. This one was released a couple weeks back, but I'm presenting it today. It's supposed to be, the interface is very intuitive, very easy to use for you to drop samples in, one-shot samples, or you know, if you have a sample loop. And they're trying to make it very simple to use, very straightforward. The interface seems to be very user-friendly with how you can interact with it, and I'm sure the interface should be resizable. I haven't tried it out yet. And I think this is the last one. Last up for today. This was released this week. I think maybe yesterday or Wednesday. Cosmic Light. It is more of a pad-centric synth. So it comes with 8 presets. Not a ton, but hopefully they sound good. I haven't checked it out yet, but it's worth checking out. I like the interface. The interface looks promising. But, you know, even if I have 8 presets to work with, it's still good enough for free. So definitely check those out. The link is in the description, and the link will take you to this blog page where you can check out the links right here, download links for each plugin respectively, and add them to your arsenal. Also, there's a link in the description for my video series on PC specs and how it relates to music production. So if you're looking to understand how these components, your CPU, your RAM, hard drive, your GPU, audio interface, and your MIDI interface, how these components all work with your DAW to help you produce music, check out this series. It'll give you some insight on that. If you're looking to upgrade, update your system, or get your first system, you'll know what parts to look for as far as how much power you need based on your workflow, your workload, and what you're looking to do for the future. So that's pretty much it for the video, guys. Check back on Monday for Free Art Mondays as we close out the month of November, focused on free filters and free EQs. Definitely check back for that. It'll be a short video, but it'll wrap up. I don't even know what the theme is going to be for next month, but I got to figure that out. Start working on the graphics, all that good stuff. So thanks for watching, guys, and as always, you'll see me in the next video.